building something 0 to 1 is so much more faster and enjoyable because you get to quickly build it, experience it, and then go back on. This doesn't look right, let me go back. I think go back and rebuild it. And that sense of I put in my heart and soul for 2 months and now we have to reject it, that doesn't quite exist. So as a builder, it's so much more fun. Anything between 2 hours and 2 days, and you can build like a whole feature out and play around with it for a few days and put it away if it doesn't look that great.
Welcome to SaaS That App, building B2B web applications, the podcast where we share real-world stories, practical advice, and tech insights for those building or thinking about starting a tech-enabled business. I'm your co-host, Aaron Marchbanks.
And I'm Justin Edwards. Each week we bring you the stories, strategies, and insights you need to build your SaaS or tech-enabled business smarter, not harder. Let's dive right in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SaaS That App. We're in 2026, Justin. How did that happen?
Doesn't that sound like some mystical, magical, faraway date from like a 1980s sci-fi?
It does. I think we're past all of the good ones now, though. I think we're past the Back to the Future jump. We're starting to edge toward the alien ones now, I think.
Yeah, it's absurd and unbelievable, and I'm like simultaneously like very upset by all the cool stuff that I'm still supposed to have and don't, and just terrified of the stuff that actually does exist. It's bamboozling.
There's so much of that. Back in our main seats here, we kind of kicked things off with some predictions and things like that in a previous episode. So we'll see how we're doing in 2026 come 2027. But in terms of interview, today we are joined by Vinay Rao, who is co-founder and CTO of Elvin, among other things, which is an AI-powered super app focused on reducing mental noise through calmer, more intuitive software experiences. Vinay is a technical leader with a background in building scalable infrastructure, cloud-native systems, real-time platforms at companies like Prove and Yahoo and SmartThings. And we're going to get into all kinds of fun stuff with him. Vinay, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much.
So glad to have you here. So always my first question, and we talked a little bit about this on the pre-call, but I'm always interested in how people got to where they are. So tell me a little bit about your technical journey. How did you get started, and how'd you end up here?
Yeah, for me, it is graduated out of North Carolina State and moved to Silicon Valley to join Yahoo back in 2013. And I've been here since then. Got to work at some amazing things back then. There was a small window there where it looked like Yahoo would compete with Google again. So I ended up working on systems like the Yahoo cards, which was supposed to be these what's in your email, you would get the right kind of cards. That kind of set me up in terms of where things would be going. I think with AI, that's now the norm, but this was in 2014. From there, won one of the hackathons and took the money to get SmartThings in my home to tinker around with home IoT. And then when SmartThings got acquired and moved to Silicon Valley, I joined them, was there for 7 years, but worked on a new project or a new initiative for every single year I was there. So that kept it fun. And then moved to my startup journey about 3.5 years ago. Experimented on doing something on my own, working at like a YC-backed startup, and then finally joining Prove, where I worked for about 2 years. Moved up to CTO there, and the CPO there, Ellie Powers. She and I think, quit a few months ago, and then decided that we should start Elvin together. So that's kind of where Elvin started, just about a month and a half or so, where we kind of set up the company, incorporated it, and at this point, just building the initial prototype, and the fun early 0 to 1 experience is where we are right now.
Yeah, so you're just in the throes of all the fun at the beginning.
Yes, yeah, it's exciting, especially right now, where building something 0 to 1 is so much more faster and enjoyable because you get to quickly build it, experience it, and then go back on. This doesn't look right, let me go back. I think go back and rebuild it. And that sense of I put in my heart and soul for 2 months and now we have to reject it, that doesn't quite exist. So as a builder, it's so much more fun, where anything between 2 hours and 2 days, and you can build like a whole feature out and play around with it for a few days and put it away if it doesn't look that great.
So tell me how that's going for you. I mean, what are you using to get things up quickly? Are you using some AI to help scaffold things? Are you pulling from past projects? Tell me a little bit about what this early building looks like.
It's definitely, yeah. The AI thing is, for me, it is across the board. For as far as the core building is concerned, that is a Cursor, but Cursor in the build plus the plan plus build mode, I think that's been super helpful. I've tried the test mode a little bit, but for the most part, it's the plan mode, trying to figure out if the plan looks right, and then going ahead and building it. Few key things have really changed my workflow. One is just playing around with Devin, where for some of the smaller bugs, especially the visual bugs, like this looks wrong, like, or the text is overflowing here. I don't have time to even go into Cursor and fix it. I'm just going to assign the linear ticket to Devin. And the other key thing that's changed the workflow in the last month and a half has been two services I've played with. I've gone with Code Ant, but Code Rabbit and Code Ant, which is this code review bot that goes ahead and actually does a really good job of catching everything from critical errors to minor nitpicks, and it will classify it as such so that you can review it. And the workflow right now is I can have AI build something, have this other system go ahead and review it as I then go and do my one pass review on does the code look right, does the functionality work as expected. That for me personally has been a huge game changer. Like a lot of my friends and family is all in engineering. So the last month has been every time I've met someone, like, have you heard of Code Rabbit and Code Ant? Like I'm the kind of person, if I really like something, I'll try to tell everyone about it. The last 6 weeks has been about these systems that have really changed the pace at which I've been moving forward, especially building in this early phase.
Have you played around with Claude as well as Devin? I haven't played with Devin yet, but I have been really impressed with what Claude is doing right now.
Right. I've played around with Claude Code a little bit. For the most part, I've been using Claude within Cursor, like the plan mode and all of those things. The best example I have is just from 2 days ago. Once in a while, I switched the AI in Cursor to something else. I think there was a time where it was GPT-4, I think, where it was free for a while. So I had switched over, and then Gemini 3 became good. So I had switched over to that. And that day I spent like 15 minutes just going in circles trying to debug an issue and give it to Claude, and it one shot just fixed it. And I was like, Gemini 3 was at it. I was at it for, I think right now it's like the patience is 10 to 15 minutes. And then you're like, nope, this AI is not good enough. I'm moving over. And I saw Claude Code do that. The only caveat I would bring up is I switched it, and Cursor then remembers that. And so all future queries kept going to Claude 4.5. And then I think I have long coding sessions. So sometimes I'll sit between 9 p.m. and go up till like 2 a.m. or something. And I get an alert at 1:30 saying, you've breached through your $20 credits and your $40 extra spend. And like, how did I was under the limit? I was supposed to hit the 25 or something by the end of the month. And I go in and like, sure enough, the fact that I went to Claude meant that I was spending a lot more per query. But at some point, especially when you have some amount of funding, whether that's angel funding or something else, where you look at the speed that you can move at, it makes no sense to me. Like, no, I'll try to save a few pennies here or a few dollars here. And I think that's been the biggest learning in terms of, especially when you're building this early, some of these systems. I just met the team at Codant, just trying to get a sense of, they've got other products that is like trying to find dead code and other entire code base other than just code review. And one of the things I brought up with them is their plan is like $25 a month or something. And I told them I would genuinely pay $100 a month for this service, because this makes sense for me. For the pace that I'm moving at, if it's constantly catching my pull requests, and it's causing the bugs to not end up in even testing phase, that's a huge win for me, because it just saves me time in terms of the speed I can go at. And so those are things that I've like realized. I've not played around with Claude Code as much as I want to, just because the current workflow with, like, I think Cursor, Devin, and like looking up stuff on Perplexity, just so that you have a good sense of how things are built. One of the things we've been trying to build at Elvin is the idea of an agent marketplace. So as part of that, trying to build computer use models and real-time search models powered by like Sonar and Perplexity. That's been a fun experience, just trying to see what these agents are capable of and where they fall short. That also then comes up in the building side of things in terms of how quickly I can build these systems.
Real quick, this episode is brought to you by Delta Systems, which is what Aaron and I do when we're not talking through microphones to you, the people of the internet. We've got a really, really great software team here, and we love to work with cool people on cool projects. So if that sounds like you and you've got a problem or you're in some kind of a jam, go to deltasystems.com, grab the time with us. We can beat up on your problem together, and if there's a fit there, amazing, we'll help you out. So deltasystems.com, grab an appointment, and hey, maybe we can work together. Yeah, you mentioned like 15 different AIs in the span of that answer, which is awesome. And that's a lot of what our job is anymore is coordinating these things and working with them. So I think it makes a ton of sense. So just to expand a little bit or just kind of highlight some of the things that you said. So you're working with these code tools to do planning and design for application features, working with them to implement the application features, having different tools review, vet the code, and elevate things to you that you need to review personally on top of your own review. So you're having AIs write the code, AIs help you plan, you're confirming and directing them through that. Then you're sending it to another service, which is then validating, reviewing their work, and elevating things to you again for that. So the piece that we're missing, and it's one thing that Claude is trying to launch right now, is the browser testing where there's a Claude browser extension. And so not only is it going to do the writing, but then Claude is going to have its Claude code and browser extension work together. So it's actually doing manual QA using the browser.
Not yet. I think for me, the idea of it opening up the thing and like going through a feature set, I've seen some aspect of it where the tickets that I assigned to Devin, it will actually include a screenshot of, hey, I opened up the app in localhost and the fix was the text overflowing. I fixed it. Here's a screenshot of that. That for me is like, oh, it did open something up. Behind the scenes, it does act like a junior developer in every sense of the way, where the expectation is do not give it overly complicated or ambiguous projects, but it'll go do the work, attach screenshots on, I got this thing done. It's also a junior developer the way I was, which is very eager on Slack on, I got this done. It's now ready for review. So it does that aspect too. Yeah. And so, and then if you don't respond for 10 minutes, like, I've gone to sleep or I've woken up again, I'm looking at the code review comments. But I've seen that aspect on what it can do when it goes tests the thing, especially in a browser view, and then replies back saying that this looks good now. I've been able to test this. This is ready for review. And then I pass it along to Codant, and that will go do the review. It will look through the comments, fix all the stuff, and then I have something that's ready to merge.
I love that. Super, super cool. And yeah, I love the notes about junior AI and not giving ambiguous tasks, and that stuff all makes a ton of sense. In the category, I know you're working with Cursor and Devin Ola, but like in the categories of like prompting, do you have any actionable tips for doing better prompting? I do a lot of having one AI write a prompt for a different AI.
We've seen that for one of the things we've been trying to do is make easy to build AI agents on our own platform. And that's one of the things we've been trying to figure out. And a key part of that is we just decided that our users shouldn't be able to or don't need to write a full prompt, but rather give the thing on, I need to achieve this thing in 1 or 2 sentences. And the key workflow there is Gemini goes and writes the prompt for you, and it injects 2 key things into the prompt. One is the user context, which is if the agent needs to go look up something based on your region or your city, it pulls that automatically from the profile, even if the user forgot to include that. And the other key thing that we've been injecting into the prompt is we know how our backend works and what the front end is going to then showcase that JSON response as. And so the whole thing of prompting the agent to say, hey, when you give me a response back, it needs to be a JSON and it needs to be this schema. The user doesn't need to know that. But a key part there is that the prompt itself that we end up eventually sending out, that has all of those information. I think that's the way I've kept my own workflow too, which is kind of writing the prompts that way so that a lot more information gets added. And this was about 6 months ago or something. I started using Super Whisper, just because I realize I can talk a lot more. I love talking more. That I end up kind of because there's a layer of filtering that happens between when you talk versus when you type. But AI systems work better when you give it just more context. So in Cursor or Claude or pretty much anything that I use, I'll try to use Super Whisper a lot. Like I'll try to talk through my whatever I'm thinking, like just brain dump that way rather than trying to type it out. And that ends up giving a lot more context to the prompt than one line of I need you to do this. So that's like a key workflow change I think I've probably done in the last couple of months.
This is Whisperflow you're working with for that?
Super Whisper, I think is the app. I know Whisperflow is the other one that I haven't tried yet, but Super Whisper has a local model so that you don't have to pay for subscription if you don't want to, which is pretty decent. I've tried both the cloud model as well as the local model. I think at some point I might try the pro version, but even the free version is really
So I've been
good.
very curious to try Whisperflow for all the reasons that you said, and they don't support Android or Linux. So it's pretty much a non-starter for me because that's what I use. So
Oops.
I'll check out Super Whisper if they're a little bit more developer friendly for us weird privacy security people. They'll win my business. So that's super awesome. So
Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit more about like Elvin? What happens post sign up? What problem are you solving? Like, I'm super curious to know what this is. As much as I'd love to talk about AI tech all day.
Yeah. Yeah, for us, one of the key reasons Ellie and I decided to kind of build this was we still see a lot of the AI systems as prompt first. Like a good example of that is Claude. Like Claude could go be this powerful AI system that could look up your calendar, your Gmail. You could connect all of these things to it. And then the next thing that it does, or some of the other systems do, is just tell me, just prompt me, and I can solve everything for you. Like I have all the context, just prompt me. And I think the thing that we realize, especially when you look at beyond the core AI enthusiasts, who are like, I'm going to like not just do a better prompt, I'll like prompt hack or look up what are the latest prompt on X or on other surfaces and try them. For a lot of the other people, the expectation is, what can AI do for me without me having to think about it? And that's where I think the system that we've been trying to build is not something that is prompt first, but rather that it goes, figures out from your emails, from your reminders and other things, what are your key tasks, showcases them, and then behind the scenes figures out if there are some of these tasks that we can just run an AI agent on, whether that is looking up information and all of those things. So when you open the app in the morning, it's not saying, I'm ready for you. I've ingested your emails. Tell me what you want me to do. But rather, I've ingested your emails. Here are some top emails. And based on that, I've looked up these information. This might be helpful for these tasks. I think that's the approach we've been taking. And I think the goal over time is trying to build this agent marketplace. My background trying to work with SmartThings schema at SmartThings, Samsung was trying to work with B2B and with product and business, trying to figure out how to build this system that would enable developers to come build this. And my co-founder Ellie, she was at Google, where she was in the early days of Google Play. That marketplace is huge, and then was at Slack, building its productivity, the developer platforms there. So I think for us, we felt like we had the right background and the right interest to kind of build that for the AI agent marketplace. But rather than saying, here's a system, have developers come build it, we feel like the real users who have the real pain points, they would be the best ones to build it, or we ought to build it for them. And that is one way of getting away from prompts. One funny anecdote that I've heard is the idea that we still prompt is the equivalent of CLI. Like you're still typing into a CLI, right? And you don't have interfaces where you can click or tap on the app. And I think that's how we had that change with Uber and all the other apps, where you just tap on it. You don't have to type into CLI the whole, here's my geolocation, here's the service I want you to send, and here's the JSON of the user profile. I think that's the change that we want to see, and I think that's where the industry is definitely going. And that's what Elvin is supposed to be, and that's what we're building right now. We've been daily using it between the two of us, and the goal right now is, as as the waitlist has been growing for us to launch the alpha in the next couple of weeks.
So you mentioned that it currently, at least Elvin, in its implementation so far, is connecting to like email or calendar. So you've got some endpoints, obviously some things that you're improving connection with. Are there others that are already to go that you're going to be integrating with? Is it a service that you're going to extend to other like direct messaging systems like Slack?
Yeah, right now the quickest thing I could build as part of the alpha, as part of getting ready for the alpha, was a share sheet where you could be in any app, whether that is images, text, or URL, and just share it to Elvin, and then it will get that, whether that's a URL or the fun thing that I was building over the weekend was the Meta Ray-Ban display, and just telling AI to like, hey, take a picture and send it to Elvin, and through WhatsApp or SMS, like sends that picture over, and then the AI on that we built is trying to then make sense of this is not just an image. The user sent it for a reason, which is there's some kind of task here or there's something there. Let me analyze that and have that ready for the user. So that's kind of how we've been seeing it. So right now the direct integration is like mail and calendar, Apple reminders. And then for everything else, we've been trying to figure out how do we add share sheets or some kind of other integration so that we can share those things out. I think the other thing that has come up as we've spoken to our ICP is the sense of AI generation has become so much more easier, whether that's image generation or marketing generation, that the expectation that you will ever be on top of your email, like the inbox zero dream, is almost over without again getting AI's help to reach that state. So I think that's one of the key things on, I can never keep up on task, right? So I think those are the key things where we feel like we would have a big impact, especially when the thing in the morning is prompt me. Like that's not the expectation. The expectation is we took a shot at it. These are the key things. Here's the rest of the stuff for you to review if you wanted to, but we've already reviewed. Here are some high priority, medium priority stuff, and then trying to figure out what to do with the low priority thing, whether that is a quick summarization or a podcast or whatever that is, so that you can quickly listen to it and be done with it. Because otherwise, just keeping up, just going through the amount of content that is in your multiple inboxes that you have today is just not feasible moving forward. I think just because of the ease at which generation is possible, you're just getting more and more targeted marketing messages that feel like this is something I need to read only for it to be like, I shouldn't have spent 5 minutes on this.
Yeah, so the mission then is just to take that extra step, and instead of presenting you in the morning with I am ready, task me or ask me, it is just simply now taking that extra step of here's what your day looks like, or your week or your month or whatever it might happen to be. Is it in the plans to be educatable? Can you train it in such a way as to say, okay, you keep putting this in a high priority bucket, and it actually is not a high priority bucket, or what have you?
Yeah, I think for us, the key part here is, and we've seen that today, where as Claude and Gemini has gotten better, a lot of people have said, I still can't move over from ChatGPT because it knows me. And the idea of user context on it being able to get that right, I think that's turning out to be a bit of a moat, right? Unless ChatGPT says you can export this out to Claude, which I don't see why they would. People have been trying to figure out, again, interesting prompts to get that out so that they could give it to Claude. But I think a key factor there is learning from the users, especially as we're going through their emails and other tasks, getting a sense of who they are, so that as they're prioritizing things, as they change the priority of tasks, keeping that in mind, so that as we keep improving the product for them, it feels more personal, which then kind of is the only moat in terms of they can't get up one day and just go to another task system or productivity system or agent marketplace, because the expectation here is it kind of gets my priorities right, versus there I would have to go teach it all over again.
Nice. And then what's the vision for the service offering? Is this something that's going to be, I'm assuming, of course, a subscription base of some sort, but is it going to be some sort of a throttled amount? Is it going to be a monthly fee? Is it going to be a number of integration points? What is your model looking like?
I think at this point we are looking at, from a monthly subscription point of view, that just from the sense of you pay a certain amount and you get these things. one of the other things we've brought up is the idea of there being, I think Cursor and others have kind of proven this model of credits where you end up getting a number of credits. And if you're a high usage user versus a low usage user, what that looks like. But I think in the early days, what I loved about Cursor and some of the other systems was they just charged you $25 a month or $20 a month, whatever that was, and they ate the pain so that users didn't have to think about, oh, I shouldn't overuse it. I think especially in the early days, one of the things that I've learned from previous mistakes is you don't want to limit the users. You want them to go do the things that they want to do so that you can learn early patterns in your system. And the last thing you want to do is, oops, you ran out of credit. I had that experience with, I think, Notion Mail when that came out. And I was like, cool, this is a cool product. I want to try it. And within the first 20 minutes, as it went through a bunch of my emails, work emails, it's like, oh, you ran out of credits. Like, you need to upgrade to use this more. And I had not used it for more than 20 minutes when it locked me out. And I think that's one of the key things where we've been trying to figure out to charge an early flat fee, especially in this day where you're going to have alternatives, right? You're going to have systems that you're like, oh, this I can make do with that. So for us, the initial plan is trying to figure out what that sweet spot is, go from there, and then over time figure out if that's a credit-based system or some other alternative where, especially for if it's home-related tasks, and we can have agents go or present systems like whether that's TaskRabbit or something else. It's like, hey, they can do that for you. Would they be paying for running that agent on your behalf because they also get something out of it? We've been trying to explore all of those potentials for our users.
So I'm curious also, and this is, I may be kind of jumping to the end a little bit, but how is it that you plan to or are currently handling like privacy and security?
At this point, one of the key parts that we've been trying to figure out is making sure that there is an aspect of the mails that we are processing, how that is encrypted. And that's step one, right? Like whether that you're building an IoT system or you're building something where at Prove we were building at-home hormone testing, where our biggest worry was what would happen, especially the climate that we were in. Anything in women's health was being targeted. So kind of getting the security system audited there constantly and building a system where even if one system, whether that was our Auth0 system where we had all our user records versus our key database, none of it had user identifiable data. So making sure those kind of systems are built in a way where one system doesn't expose the whole thing. I think that's one of the key things that we've decided. We built it that way a couple of years ago when we did the women's health platform. And we're kind of doing that similarly here where the expectation is we want to build it in a way where everything's encrypted. We want to make sure that users have full control. One of the first things that I built at Yahoo, one of the reason I won that hackathon that I brought up was it was called Ad Block Unblock. So back then, ad block had just hit the market. And as you can imagine, that had an impact on Yahoo's core revenue, which was ads. I had built a system that would serve the ads to the image platform such that if you tried to block that ads, all the images would go away, which is what most systems then tried implementing. But a key learning out of that was users don't mind ads. I think Facebook and Instagram have brought that up over and over again. They mind bad ads. And I think the same thing applies here. The expectation is I want to have control over what the AI is seeing or what the ad systems are seeing about me and kind of building this user context that I was telling you about as we learn things about you, especially through your emails, making sure that if there is any financial information like your tax record, your SSN, those things are not parsed or saved. Those are key things that we've built from day one, making sure that the systems don't end up then saving that. One of the things that happened day before yesterday, when I was using Claude and Cursor was it ran my bash script to upload my Lambda zip. And I was like, how do you have access to that? And part of it was you pasted in the credentials. How did you get that? Like, oh yeah, part of your script is you can pull in the Lambda credentials And I was able to pull that and see some of the information. That's how I have that in my knowledge base. That is, if you've not prompted it, or if it's not part of the code prompt to kind of protect that user's privacy and don't look at these things, don't run these things, that's where user run into trouble. And I think for us, that's one of the key things that we're building. Part of the user context that we're building is to make it front and center so that users can see that and delete information or prompt it to say, never ever store this about me, or certain aspects of what they want to showcase versus not want to showcase.
Yeah, the emerging area of privacy and security as it relates to AI and prompt injections and all these kinds of things are it's all new, right? It's the Wild West, and we're trying to figure out how to think about it and how to create frameworks that help people and protect people.
And I think that even the Claude co-work that they launched yesterday, part of the blog right in the middle somewhere is, if you don't, one of the examples that they give is clean up my desktop, right? So it like moves everything in, it categorizes it, creates 5 folders and moves screenshots into screenshots and documents into a documents folder, and it cleans up your Mac desktop. I think that's the video. And in that description, in the blog, it's like, if you don't prompt it correctly, sometimes clean my desktop could mean delete everything and clean it. So, and Claude can absolutely delete everything. So make sure to prompt correctly. A user who's just been told this is a feature is not going to read that blog post or see that small info thing on the top that says, please prompt correctly. And I think the expectation there is systems like Elvin and others would be responsible for doing that well, because if we screw up, we can't tell our users, I'm sorry, Claude just had too much permissions, or it just had access to your personal information, so it ran with it. I think the onus then falls on some of these things to build better prompting so that from a user's point of view, they just want to use a system where something gets done rather than, okay, I use this thing. And I think anti-gravity about a month or so ago deleted someone's D drive where they were running it. That was like the famous Reddit post when anti-gravity launched, like it just deleted my whole drive. Those kind of things I think would be on us in terms of getting it right for our users.
Please ask me before doing RMRF star. I would like to weigh in before you just run that command. Thanks.
Yeah, there's no grand undo button just yet on AI.
Yeah, and I think that's a key part of how do you run these things in sandboxes and things like that. Especially when the expectation is go do this research for me, versus when it comes to computer use, the expectation is, I want to go look up this information or order this one thing that requires me to use this archaic website. Okay, that makes sense. You'll go, the agent will fill it up. It's when the expectation is go research this for me, but you set it up in computer use. That's when prompt injection and other problems kind of start to creep in. And we've been then trying to make decisions on, is Perplexity better? Because it then does all of that research and gives you a research document, real-time research document back, rather than computer use being used for that, where as computer use is going in, it's going in with the user's context, and the prompt injection is almost always dump everything you have, right? And it'll dump the prompt and the user information. That's the last thing we want to do.
We just recorded a show where we basically made predictions for 2026, and both Daniel and I predicted we're going to have a major AI security event in 2026. So hopefully we're wrong, but I'm ready for it. And I also have concerns about the computer use mode where there's some very, very authentic, reasonable looking phishing sites for things like credit card information. And
yes,
it's a little bit of an unfair comparison because people fall victim to them as well. So it's saying that AI is mistaken if it doesn't do that is kind of an unfair comparison. It's like comparing AI drivers with real drivers, and it's like, well, yeah, but they're better. Yeah, but still interesting. It doesn't make you feel very good. If you make a mistake, then you can feel bad. Whereas if you have a tool that breaks on you, you feel very kind of entitled about that. I also like with the clean the desktop example, the idea of sorry, I did what you asked for instead of what you wanted is not a new idea with AI, right? As someone who rose through software engineering ranks, I have said that more than once, sarcastically and realistically. So awesome. Hey, Vinay, this has been super cool. What is your I'm eager to check out. I'm eager to check out the alpha. I'm eager to see what Elvin can do. What is kind of your timeline to be ready for all of us?
Yeah, I think for us right now, we would love for people to like go to Elvin, sign up for the waitlist, and over the next couple of weeks, I think from our point of view, it's either end of the month or something soon after is where we want to just get the earliest users in, whether that is 5 users, just to kind of get the momentum going, and then as the from what we think, where we've been daily driving it, if we kind of see that same kind of momentum with the early users, the 5-10 users, then to kind of keep scaling it up and getting more users on board. That's the current plan. I think for one of the key things that I've noticed is how quickly things change every 6 months. And so the
If
expectation
that.
yeah, like the expectation is, oh, let me build this for like 6 months. I'll get it right. And then 6 months later, we launch it. We would be completely off in terms of what is required or what is expected at that point. So the expectation definitely is building this. One of the key things I actually didn't bring up is a key part of our workflow is like Figma Make. We were using V0. We moved over to Figma Make. And so my co-founder, Ellie, she will go build the core of the design system and the front end and the product vision that she has in Figma Make. And I'll pull that in. And we've been kind of speed running on that. And so the idea right now is how quickly can we take some of this, showcase the core product to our early alpha users, and then keep polishing it up as we go to more users. So that's the current plan, where it has to be out in 1 or 2 months, because anything beyond that and the landscape changes again, right? So I think that's the way we've been approaching this 0 to 1 system.
So what does that become more than what just you two can do? Is that already on the horizon? Or are you thinking there is no possible way I can keep up with this breakneck pace right now?
Yeah, I think at this point, one of the things I've realized is there are things that take up a lot of my time, which is like setup. So I was trying to like set up the WhatsApp business paperwork as part of setting up the Meta Ray-Ban display. The API thing took legitimately less than 2 hours to build out, right? The whole other paperwork took me hours and hours. And I think other than that, especially when it comes to like working on the features and other things that our users are asking for, it's just a matter of how quickly can I get the prompt out and go through the review and get it out. That's the bottleneck at this point, to be honest, where the expectation is just, I just want to quickly prioritize. I think the thing that we do is we are both based here in Silicon Valley. So as we meet every twice a week, the goal is just always prioritization. What do we prioritize now? Because we can get through everything. The thing is, based on what we prioritize, we get through all of those things, because it's just a matter of how quickly we can build. And that seems to just be multiplying. And I think the goal is, as we do the alpha and raise more and get a small team, the expectation absolutely is what we do with a small team quickly as we continue to scale this.
I absolutely love this. I think this is what bringing new products to market is going to look like in 2026 and going forward. We're going to have two very talented people with all the right tools doing incredible things very quickly, and that's going to scale across the entire society. And we're going to see so much innovation come out of this. It's just awesome.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah. No, thanks so much for coming on and sharing what you guys are doing. I mean, this is it's just incredible. It's outstanding.
Yeah, Vinay, this has been just really great.
Thanks, Adam.
Well, I think that brings us to a close. Justin, unless you got any closing thoughts?
Let's send everyone to Elvin. We'll definitely put a link to you down below.
Yeah, we are Try Elvin. Yeah, so hopefully, you go there and sign up for the waitlist.
Awesome. Anywhere else you want to send people, or is that the main place?
That's the main place. After you sign up for the waitlist, if you're overloaded, we built a Tetris game that took us 2 hours to build. That is, instead of the Tetris block, it is like a Slack emoji and Zoom and all of the things that take up your time. So
I was going to wait until we stopped recording, but I do have a bone to pick with you because I lost about 25 minutes of my day. Thanks for that.
The same thing happened to me when I built it, which is I spent half a day, and then there was this one day where I was playing it till 3 a.m. I was like, maybe this is not something I want to do, because the goal here is to prove that you're overloaded and not have this take up your time.
Fantastic. Well, we've been talking with Vinay Rao, co-founder and CTO of Elvin, among other things. You can check that out and jump on the wait list at, I believe it is tryelvin.com, unless I'm mistaken. Again, Vinay, thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. Really appreciate your time and your insights. And it actually just curtails very nicely into a lot of the predictions that we made, which were surfaced around AI for 2026. So it's a really great way to start the year, I think.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Justin, for this.
Appreciate you. Renee, super nice to meet.
Special thanks as always to our listeners. If you like what you're hearing, have ideas for the show, or just want to tell us what's on your mind, hit that like button, throw a review our way, or subscribe if you are so inclined, and continue to be on the lookout for some new and exciting ways that we're going to be able to interact directly with our listeners over the course of this year. For now, signing off, and we'll see you all next time on SaaS That App. Thanks for cruising along with us on SaaS That App. We hope you grabbed some insights that were inspiring, actionable, or at least entertaining.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.
Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep those apps sassy.